Hi, this is Mr. Lombardi, and this is Biology Essentials video number 749. Today, we're going to be talking about the heart. Now, the parts of the heart are the superior vena cava, the right pulmonary artery, the right pulmonary vein, the right atrium, tricuspid valve, semilunar valves, there are two of them, the pulmonary valve, which allows for the blood to travel through the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. Then there's the aortic valve, which allows for the left ventricle to allow for blood to travel into the aorta. Then the other parts are the right ventricle, the inferior vena cava, the septum, the left ventricle, the bicuspid valve, the left atrium, left pulmonary vein, left pulmonary artery, and the aorta. Now, the arteries take blood and move it away from the heart, whereas the veins, they bring the blood back to the heart. The atriums are the upper chambers of the heart that receive the blood. That's where the blood initially pools. And the ventricles are what takes the blood from the atrium and then moves it throughout the rest of the body, the rest of the heart, I mean. The ventricles are the lower chambers of the heart. The tricuspid valve is the valve in between the right atrium and right ventricle. And the bicuspid valve is the valve that is in between the left atrium and left ventricle. And these valves are crucial because they have to open and close at the right time to be able to let the blood pass through. The septum is a thick wall in between the left ventricle and the right ventricle. Now, it is crucial that this septum is here because the right ventricle has deoxygenated blood. That deoxygenated blood then passes to the lungs, which then pulls back into the left ventricle, making it oxygenated in the left ventricle. The pulmonary arteries are the only artery in the body that is rich in carbon dioxide, whereas the pulmonary vein is the only vein in the body that is rich in oxygen. The process the heart goes through to be able to function is that it brings blood in, deoxygenated blood in, through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. This blood pools in the right atrium, where it then passes through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. This right ventricle then pushes the blood through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery, where it then disperses into the lungs, where the oxygen you breathe is then diffused into the blood. That newly oxygenated blood is then passed from the pulmonary vein back into the heart, where it pools in the left atrium, then passing through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, then moving all the way through the aortic valve into the aorta. The aorta then disperses the blood throughout the rest of the body, and the body then absorbs the oxygen from the blood. Now, you might be asking yourself, or maybe you're not, you're possibly sleeping, I'm not sure. You might be asking yourself, how is the heart able to beat regularly? Well, I got an answer for you. The heart is able to beat regularly because it's got its own pacemaker. Now, this pacemaker is a small muscular region located in the top back of the right atrium. This pacemaker is called the SA node. Now, the SA node is able to send an impulse signal that makes both aorta contract. This impulse signal travels from the top of the right atrium down to the bottom of the right atrium, where it is then received by the AV node. This AV node's job is to obviously receive the signal from the SA node, but once it receives it, also send its own impulse signal that makes the ventricles contract. And this is how you get the lub-dub sound from your heart. The first contraction is the lub, and the second contraction is the dub. This is what allows the heart to function. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful.